In the history of the WHA, we talk about the three Waynes. You're saying to yourself, what do you talk about three Waynes? Well, there's three big Waynes in WHA history. Wayne Gretzky, obviously. Wayne Connolly. And the third Wayne, which I think played a huge factor in the legitimization of the WHA, Wayne Carleton. Now, Wayne Carleton is probably one of the most popular players of his generation, not only for his time with the Leafs, but the Boston Bruins, California Seals, and all the WHA teams he played for. He even took the time to play OHA Senior. Now, Wayne Carleton, born August 4th, 1946, in the beautiful Ontario community of Sudbury, first came to major prominence as a 6'3", 220-pound left winger for his time in the OHA with the Unionville Seaforts to begin with, and the Toronto Marlies. Now, he was a big part of the Toronto Marlies Memorial Cup run in '64, where he scored 42 goals in 54 games in the regular season and 5 points in the playoffs. Now, because Toronto owned these NHL rights, he got a call up with the big team in 65-66. After his junior eligibility ran out, he had one assist in 2 games, played with the Tulsa Oilers in the playoffs, and got 7 points. Next year, he scored his first goal in the NHL with Toronto in 5 games. Played in Tulsa and Rochester. With the Tulsa Oilers CHL, he had 17 goals. With Rochester, he had 5 goals in the regular season and 5 others in the playoffs. Now, his rookie season with Toronto in '68, he had 19 points. But unfortunately, due to some shifting in Toronto's lineup, he was sent pretty well back to the minors for another year of seasoning in '68-'69. He had 4 points with the Leafs, 8 points with Rochester in 13 games. But with the Phoenix Roadrunners, the original version of the WHL, he had 16 games. And this ties into his later WHA years, where we'll talk about this very quickly. 69-70, in a very controversial trade for Toronto Maple Leaf fans, he was eventually sent to Boston, and he played a big part in Toronto. Boston winning the Cup that year. He had 25 points in a regular season and a big 6 points in the playoffs, and he got his name on the Cup, a well-deserved recognition. Now, in '71, on Boston's pretty well second, third-line combination, he had 22 goals in 69 games. But unfortunately, he played no factor for Boston in the playoffs because he lost to Montreal in 6 games in the quarterfinals. Now, '72, he found himself with the California Golden Seals, where he built a reputation again as a great teammate, 31 points. Now, what the distinction was for a lot of people when he assisted on Bobby Orr's Cup-winning goal in 1970, him and Derek Sanderson, it made a reputation that, he was a good teammate and playmaker. Now, his major recognition, of course, happened when he decided to make the shift to the WHA. The WHA was hiring a lot of second-level NHLers and high-level minor pros. Now, the first season and the only season for the Ottawa Nationals, he had 42 goals in a regular season, 91 points, 6 points in the playoffs. '74, he returned to Toronto with the Toros, where he had 92 points in a regular season and 14 in the playoffs. Now, '75 and '76, he played a huge factor in the rebirth of the New England Whalers franchise. '75, he had 74 points in the regular season, point-a-game pace. '76, he did leave New England for Edmonton, but he combined that year for 17 goals and 37 assists for 54 points. And 76-77 was his last year. He ended up with the Birmingham Bulls, but unfortunately didn't stay, decided to go with the Barrie Flyers of the OHA Senior League and put up some really good numbers. And he kind of made himself a third legend by being one of the top-flight senior hockey players in Ontario during that era. So WHA, 312 points in 290 games, point-a-game pace. Again, one of the top point getters in the early era of the WHA. 29 points in the playoffs in 25 games, including 8 goals. NHL total is kind of deceiving because the 55 goals he scored were a lot of money makers for the teams he played for, especially in Boston, especially in the Golden Seals program. 55 goals, 73 assists for 128 points in 278 games, and 6 points in the playoffs. So you're looking at that combined 600 major league games, scored almost 200 goals. Now Wayne Carleton would probably be, like, not say the player that got away for Toronto, but a lot of people believed he wasn't really given a fair shake. We saw in Boston, Carolina, the WHA, he had the capacity to score a lot of goals. And you see the promise of the Toronto Marley years. You know, he was there in all the great success of Toronto in the early 60s. Now, Toronto let him go, ladies and gentlemen. You know, he's only 24. So I don't know exactly what they were thinking. Maybe they were just trying to make room for Brian Spencer and Daryl Sittler and some of the other prospects like Dennis Prairie and players like that. But Toronto, that was sort of the beginning of the head-scratching decisions of the late 60s and early 70s, where all these Maple Leaf prospects that were drafted or developed were being let go. So Wayne Carleton, like I said, one of the three Waynes. Thanks for listening. Bye.